Okay, am I live? Let's see. As Modius X3 is live. Okay, am I live here? Display capture, add a source. Lock this. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Everything is fine. Let's move forward. Build a recipe. Okay. Now we have to build a recipe page. Okay. Let's build a recipe page. Okay, so whatever we have learned in the previous sections or previous lessons, we have to apply it here, and we have to build a recipe page which will look like we don't have any page from which we can see how it's going to be like. So we just have to follow the instructions, and it will be, and we have to run the test, and we have to see if our page passes. If it doesn't, we have to just correct it. Okay, we'll try. We'll definitely try. Okay, so you should have a doc type. Of course, first thing you should do is doc type. So doc type HTML. Then what we have to do is open the HTML. HTML stands for hypertext markup language, and inside this open HTML tag we can include lang attribute and set it to en, so that our page, the browser will recognize the language is English indeed. Then after opening this, we can open our head here. So head, inside head title element. Of course we have title. Okay, so we have to actually wrap this title close. We have done it, and let's close the head also. We have closed it. Now we can do is, you should have head element containing title element with the name of your recipe and a meta element. Okay, my recipe is let's say fried rice, maybe. Rice recipe. RECIPE. Okay, fried rice recipe, and with the name of your recipe and meta element with a character set and meta character set. The meta character set comes here, I think. So meta. Okay, I have to, sorry, to this. UTF 8, I guess. Okay, Okay, class set spelling is wrong. Character set UTF-8. Okay, should I have to close the meta tag? Let me see. I don't think so. Maybe I don't have to actually close it. Am I doing something wrong? Maybe. I think I'm doing something wrong here. The meta character set, maybe it comes inside the head here, but I am confused a little bit, so I'm just gonna leave it here. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it. Title is done. Then what else? You have a body element. Yes, of course I have a body element, and another slash body element. Okay, everything is going fine. Inside the body element you should have a h1 element and name of your recipe. Same here. Okay, I guess maybe. So h1, let's close h1. Let's say that's the fried rice. You should have as 2 element ingredients. Okay, it's 2 element ingredients. Okay, INGREDIENTS, INGRE, but this is GREDIENTS. Okay, ingredients slash s2. Close this. You should have an unordered list. Okay, so just open a UL and also close a UL to L. After opening and closing the UL tag, you have the LI. So inside the UL we have LI and slash LI, and we can copy this and paste it, enter, paste it like 2 or 3 times. Okay, at least 4 items. Okay, so I have to paste it once again. So we have 4 items. Below first h2 you should have second h2 element with the text instructions for the instruction section. So I just copy this, and after this I'm gonna paste it, and I'm just gonna NSTRUCTIONS instructions. I'm just gonna paste instructions here. I'm just gonna like add something like rice, and the second is oil, third is onions, and let's say salt, maybe eggs. Okay, you should have at least, so I can just make it, just add some more ingredients, like we have eggs, we have onions, we have oil, we have rice, salt, and that's it. This will do. Instructions, you have an ordered list. Okay, so after this I have an ordered list. The ordered list is OL, and I have to open and close the ordered list as well. Inside the ordered list, okay, at least four. Okay, inside our list we have four items. So li, I can just copy these, copy, paste. For now, let me just copy this. Now you should have one image element and source attribute to get a valid image, as you can see here. So okay, below the s2 tag, okay, so below here, like our list, I'm just gonna open an img src equals, you can use this, I'm just gonna use this one, copy, paste. If you like, you will add an alt attribute describing the image. Okay, just alt equals, let's say, tasty fried rice. Tasty fried rice. It's making me hungry. No problem. Tasty fried rice over. There is an alt attribute. Everything looks fine. Instruction into ingredients. Okay. It's over. Should I run the test? Let's run the test. Did my code passes? Okay. There are some. You should have a head element within the HTML. Okay. So did I do here something? Yeah. I opened HTML here, but I didn't close the HTML. Okay. HTML closed. Now let's run the test again. Everything looks fine. You have a paragraph element below h1 element. Paragraph element below h1. H1 here. Okay, we have a paragraph. Okay, so paragraph close, and we have let's make fried rice better than ever. Good to go. Everything looks fine. Okay, so first of all, we used the doctype HTML tag, which will basically tell the browser this is the latest version of HTML we are using. And then the second, inside the HTML tag, this is basically opening tag of our code. So this is the first tag we use. Every section and basically total code is basically wrapped inside the HTML tag. So this is the main tag, and then not main tag, this is actually the core tag. And inside this, the lang attribute actually tells the language we are using inside our browser, that is English. The head section doesn't show anything in the browser. Whatever we put here is not shown in the browser, but it basically defines the metadata of the web page, like what character set we are using, what encoding we are using, what is the title of the web page, vice versa. The body section, we have a fried rice, a big nice heading, fried rice, because we are making fried rice. Let's make fried rice better than ever. Really good. Then we have ingredients. Then we have the UL. UL is basically another list, and inside of another list we have the ingredients. That is what we need to make our recipe. Then we have our second instructions. We have our instructions that how to make the fried rice. Then we just copied our ingredients and pasted it. We can also write it. Let's write here. Okay, let's run the code first. Okay, no, let's write here first. Okay, so boil the rice boil the rice. What is this? How can we make a sentence? Spread some oil in pan, maybe. Spread some oil in pan. Put onions in. Okay, looks good. Crack some eggs. In it, add salt. And that's how we make fried rice. And this picture actually is not that bad because it has some eggs and a spatula here. This is not a spatula. What is this? Whisker, whatever. It has some eggs, so doesn't this defeats the purpose. Okay, let's run the test again. Okay, we have done it. We have made our website using HTML in like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Let's submit. I can also download my solution, but I don't have to because this is a really good site and I really liked how he taught me different attributes. Really good. Okay, now that we have built it, now what we can do is okay, we have to follow some lectures on what are div elements and when should you use them, what are IDs and classes and when should you use them, what are HTML entities and what are some common examples, what is the role of script element. Okay, let's start then. What are we waiting for? Let's start with this. Watch the video to read. Will this playing this video get a copyright on my channel? This is the question. If I play this video, this is a bit risky. Okay,
now that we understand what HTML is, let's move on to the fun stuff. I'm going to look at the content division element, or in other words, the div. I like to think of a div as a beautiful being that can be anything you want it to be.
We can give a div a height, we can give it a width, and we can give it a background color using CSS, or in other words, styling, which we will cover in lectures coming up. We can also use it in a very basic form without styling to hold other elements together. So, for example, we can create a div and put a heading in it and put a paragraph in it, and now these two elements will be grouped together. Just be aware that there might be better elements to use when grouping these together. You might choose a section element, for example. This is because the section element has semantic meaning. Semantics are the meaning of words or phrases in a language. In HTML, which is a language, elements have their own semantic meaning too. So, this means if you use a section element, the browser will pick up its semantic meaning and understand to treat this as a section, on desktops, mobiles, you name it. We will dive into this topic further later on. For now, just know that the div does not have this. It's like a mysterious ghost. Let's see what else we can do to a div in the next lecture.
Okay, so divs don't have semantic value and other tags have it. So what semantic means does a div element have? The div element represents a container for introductory content, a set of navigational links. The div element defines a footer. No, this is not the answer. The div element specifies the main page. Content should be unique. No, this is the role of the main tag. The div element has no semantic meaning. This is the correct answer. Actually, the div element has no semantic meaning. Which of the following is correct syntax for a div element? This one, I guess. Which of the following HTML elements is commonly used to group contents into distinct sections? Of course, section. Check the answer. We are correct. Now hop on to another video.
Let's learn about IDs and classes and when you should use them. The ID attribute adds a unique identifier to an HTML element. In this example, here is an H1 element with an ID of title. You can reference the ID name of the title within your JavaScript or CSS. Here's a CSS example referencing the ID of title to change the text color to red. The hash symbol in front of the title tells the computer you want to target an ID with that value. ID names should not be repeated more than once and they should always be unique. Another thing to note about ID values is that they cannot have spaces in them. Here's an example of applying the word main and heading to an ID attribute value. Browsers will see the space as part of the ID, which will lead to unwanted issues when it comes to styling and scripting. ID attribute values should only contain letters, digits, underscores, and dashes. In contrast to the ID attribute, the class attribute value does not need to be unique and can contain spaces. Here's an example of applying a class called box to a div element. If you wanted to add multiple class names to an element, you can do so by separating the names by a space. Here's an updated example applying multiple classes to a div element. To apply a set of styles to that box class, you can reference that class inside your CSS. Here's an example of setting width, height, and border properties to the element with the class name of box. The dot symbol in front of the word box tells the computer you want to target a class with that value. When the code runs, it will search through all of your HTML document to find all the elements with that class name and apply those styles. So, to recap, when should you use an ID versus a class? Classes are best used when you want to apply a set of styles to many elements. If you want to target a specific element, it is best to use an ID because those values need to be unique.
Okay. When should you use ID versus class? Use a class when you want to unique identifier. No, this is the rule of ID. Use a ID when you need unique identifier for a specific element, and use a class when you want to apply styles or behavior to multiple elements. True. Then what happens if you use the same ID more than once in the HTML? It can lead to unwanted results. Trying, okay, the program will crash, nothing will happen. I think it can lead to unwanted results. Which of the following is not correct value of ID? Heading. This is actually not correct because we can only use dashes and underscores or no dashes inside the ID. Check the answer. Complete. I'm on fire. Am I?
Let's learn about HTML entities. An HTML entity or character reference is a set of characters used to represent a reserved character in HTML. In this example, there is a paragraph element with an image element nested inside. The text on the screen should say, "This is an image element," where the word image is replaced with the syntax for an image element. However, the text currently says, "This is an element." This is happening because when the HTML parser sees the less than symbol followed by an HTML tag name, it interprets that as an HTML element. To fix this issue, you can use HTML entities. Here is an updated example using the correct HTML entities for the less than and greater than symbols. These types of character references are known as named character references.
Okay.
Named character references start with an ampersand sign and end with a semicolon. By using a named character reference, the HTML parser will not confuse this with an actual HTML element. Here is what the updated paragraph element looks like on the page. Now users will be able to see the entire image element syntax as you intended it. Another type of character reference would be the decimal numeric reference. Here's an example of using the decimal numeric reference for the less than symbol. This character reference starts with an ampersand sign and hash symbol followed by 1 or decimal digits followed by a semicolon. The last type of character reference would be the hexadecimal numeric reference. Here is an example of using the hexadecimal numeric reference for the less than symbol. This character reference starts with an ampersand sign, hash symbol, and the letter X. Then it is followed by 1 or more ASCII hex digits and ends with a semicolon. So, what are some other examples of using HTML entities? Well, you often see them used for symbols like the copyright symbol, quotes, trademark symbols, and the ampersand sign.
Nice, nice. So basically, we can use the LT and GT for less than and greater than and other symbols. What is HTML entity character reference? A set of Google fonts? No. A group? No. A set of characters used to represent JavaScript code? No. A set of characters used to represent a reserved character? Yes. Okay. What are the three types of character references? Named, Roman and hexadecimal, decimal, arithmetic. Three types of reference. Octal, named, binary, named, decimal, hexadecimal. I think this is the answer. Arithmetic, decimal, hexadecimal characters. Yes. Asymmetric means hashtag and those symbols were asymmetric. Which of the following is the correct syntax for a named character reference? Named character reference. I think this one is the answer. This is actually correct syntax. Okay, this is incorrect. This is correct and this is also correct. This is incorrect. Okay. Middle of the video. Okay.
Named character references start with an ampersand sign and end with a semicolon. By using a named character reference, the HTML parser will not confuse this with an actual HTML element. Here is what the updated paragraph element looks like on the page. Now users will be able to see the entire image element syntax as you intended it. Another type of character reference would be the decimal numeric reference. Here's an example of using the decimal numeric reference for the less than symbol. This character reference starts with an ampersand sign and hash symbol followed by 1 or decimal digits followed by a semicolon. The last type of character reference would be the hexadecimal numeric reference. Here is an example of using the hexadecimal numeric reference for the less than symbol. This character reference starts with an ampersand sign, hash symbol, and the letter X. Then it is followed by 1 or more.
Name basically starts with an ampersand sign. Decimal naming reference starts with ampersand and a hashtag sign, and a hexadecimal starts with ampersand, hashtag, and then a
decimal numeric reference. Here is an example of using the hexadecimal numeric reference for the less than symbol. This character reference starts with an ampersand sign, hash symbol, and the letter X. Then it is followed by 1 or more ASCII hex digits and ends with a semicolon.
I don't have to remember these. Okay, what is this?
Let's learn about the script element and how to use it to link to external JavaScript files. The script element is used to embed executable code. Most developers will use this to execute JavaScript code. JavaScript is used to add interactivity to your web pages. Common examples of using JavaScript include interactive games, image sliders, and dynamic forms that validate user input in real time. Here is an example of using the script element in an HTML document. In this example, we have an alert to display the message "Welcome to FreeCodeCamp." Here is a screenshot of how this example works in the browser. When the page first loads, the alert will pop up. Then the user can click on the OK button to dismiss the message. While you can technically write all of your JavaScript code inside the script tags, it is considered best practice to link to an external JavaScript file instead. Here is an example of using the script element to link to an external JavaScript file. The source attribute is used here to specify the location for that JavaScript file. SRC stands for source. The reason why it is not encouraged to place all of your JavaScript inside the HTML document is because of separation of concerns. Separation of concerns is a design principle where you separate your programs into distinct sections and have each section address a separate concern. In this case, we want to separate our JavaScript code from our HTML code.
Okay, so definitely that makes sense, because otherwise the code will become very bulky and we don't want HTML, CSS and JavaScript in the same file, so it is manageable otherwise. Which attribute is used to link an external JavaScript file? Obviously the source. Wait a minute. Yeah, source. What is separation of concerns? It's about making sure no design act of combining involves dividing up tasks, of course. Which of the following is the correct syntax for external JavaScript? Script div, script source. This is the correct one. Check. This is wrong. Ending of the video. It involves dividing up tasks among team members. No, I should have read the whole sentence. It's about a principal separate. Yeah, this second one is the right answer. We actually divide our program into distinct sections so that we can easily handle them later on. That's correct. Let's hop on to the next. What is the role of meta description and how does it affect the SEO? Okay.
What is the role of the meta description element and how does it affect SEO? SEO, or search engine optimization, is a practice that optimizes web pages so they become more visible and rank higher on search engines. Okay. One way to improve your site's SEO is to provide a short description for the web page using the meta element. Here is an example of using the meta element to set a page description for a gardening site. By setting the name attribute to description, it ensures that browsers, search engines, and other web tools correctly interpret this metadata. The content attribute is where you will place your description. It is recommended that you keep your description short and concise. This is because search engines will often truncate the description based on the results page layout. Similar to other types of meta elements, the meta description will not be visible on the web page itself. One place where the page description can be found is in the search engine results page snippet. Here are some examples of page results snippets for FreeCodeCamp subreddit and GitHub repositories. In this example, each of the page descriptions are located just beneath the site links. Within a couple of seconds, users can get a general sense of what the page is about and decide to click on the links for more information. Even though meta descriptions won't directly affect a site's ranking on a search engine, having a strong description could result in more traffic to your site.
Okay. So basically,
Or
search engine optimization. So this is practice. This practice is based on. It will help us to rank our web page higher in the search engine. So yeah. So this is basically this meta name description, and the content of this description will actually be displayed on our web page when someone is trying to enter our website or target our web page. Then I think this description will help to.
Engines will often truncate the description based on.
Okay, this description actually will get truncated. So this whole thing will not be seen in the web page. Okay. Which element is used to set the description? Meta, of course. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And what does the page description typically show? Inside figure element, inside footer element, in search engine result page. Of course, I think this should be the answer. Yeah, fundamentals are, we are we are close, 83% done. Now let's,
What is the role of the Open Graph tags and how does it affect SEO? The Open Graph protocol enables you to control how your website content appears across various social media platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and many more. Here is an example of a LinkedIn card posted for FreeCodeCamp.
okay, being able to effectively analyze data is a useful skill for devs to have, and there are many free tools you can use to help out. Okay, data analyst full course.
By setting these Open Graph properties, you can entice users to want to click and engage with your content. You can set these properties through a collection of meta elements inside your HTML head section. The first important OG property to include would be the title. Here is an example of setting the OG title for the FreeCodeCamp homepage. For the property attribute, you will need to specify that this is an OG colon title. The content attribute is where you will write the title you want displayed for social media sites. The next important OG property would be the type. Here is an example of using the OG type for the FreeCodeCamp homepage. The type property is used to represent the type of content being shared on social media. Examples of this content include articles, websites, videos, or music. The third important OG property would be the image. Here is an example of setting the OG image for the FreeCodeCamp homepage. In this example, the Open Graph image is pointing to the FreeCodeCamp logo. All of these images should be high quality with good dimensions and ratios. Most social media platforms will include criteria for image requirements to help you ensure that your content displays well on their site. For example, the developers.facebook.com documentation page states, use images that are at least 1200 by 630 pixels for the best display on high-resolution devices. At the minimum, you should use images that are 600 by 315 pixels to display link page posts with larger images. The fourth important OG property would be the URL. Here is an example of setting the OG URL for the FreeCodeCamp homepage. There are many more OG properties that you can set, like the description, audio, video, and locale. However, the Open Graph URL, image, type, and title are the most important ones to include. So, how do these Open Graph properties affect search engine optimization? When your content is shared on social media, well-crafted OG properties can enhance the appearance for your content in users' feeds. This can lead to higher click-through rates, which could signal to search engines that your content is relevant and engaging.
What are the Open Graph properties used for? For embedding interactive multimedia, to set how your website content, for generating dynamic pop-ups and advertising on the website. I think for encrypting sensitive and transmitted web server browser. This is the correct answer. For generating dynamic pop-up. Obviously, this is the correct answer. To set your website content will be seen on different social media platforms. I think that's the correct answer. What does the property OG title do in the meta element? OG title. It automatically adjusts the font. No. It directs the browser to display the specific emotion, emoticon or emoji. No. It causes the web page to play a specific. No. It specifies the title of the web page. So OG title actually specifies the title. What does the property OG type do in the meta? it selects the page default. %, complete. Let's go ahead. Build a travel agency page. Okay, so we will do this lab tomorrow. We don't have to do it right now. And working with media and this. So basically we have learned about divs, elements, and when to use them. Of course we did. What are the IDs and classrooms and when should you use them? We understood that. What are HTML entities? Of course we understand what is the role of the script element in HTML, of course, to add the external JavaScript and CSS files. What is the role of meta description in SEO? We know that. And lastly, it was the role of open graph tags and how do they affect SEO. So tomorrow we will build travel agency page, and that's it for today.